Hi, everyone, and welcome to the McRae's Growth Challenge podcast, Inside with B2B and manufacturing leaders, where we uncover their stories, strategies, and solutions to overcoming growth challenges in their industries. I'm your host, Maria, and in each episode, we will dive deep with founders, CEOs, and industry experts to explore how they scale, innovate, and lead in today's competitive landscape. So let's get started. Today we have Rob from Written Group. Nice to meet you. How are you today?
Pleasure. Nice to meet you. I'm wonderful.
Awesome. So, Rob, why don't you introduce yourself to our audience and tell me a little bit more about your company?
Yeah. So my name's Rob Mara. I'm the Vice President of Sales for the Wittering Group, specifically for our You Selected line of business. We are a 95-year-old family business based out of Des Moines, Iowa. The third generation of the family is nearing retirement. So quite successful, evolved over the years. Company organization started as making peanut vending machines, and over the years just graduated into, on top of traditional vending, to large industrial accounts, lockers, technology management companies. So we have a number of lines of business. Company continues to grow and scale from those humble beginnings in Des Moines, Iowa.
That's awesome. Wow, 95 years. That's a really long time.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I don't have statistics on this, right, but you can Google and find out, right? The likelihood of any organization going to the third family generation and staying private and all that is extremely unlikely. Probably the best example out there is the Mars family, which probably now might even be into their fourth or fifth generation, but it's very unlikely. We've been blessed with great leadership and great family. They treat their people very, very well. So,
do you think that their relationship with the employees is really the number one reason why they've been able to survive so long? Or do you think that there's also part of it to like adaptation? Over the last 95 years, technology and business has changed so much. Is that part of the first most important things for them as a company value is to be adaptable?
For sure, yeah. I mean, it's you have to the industries that we sell our equipment in and provide our services, they've all evolved and changed quite a bit, really, in the last 10 to 20 years as well. But I also wouldn't discount the people and the culture and how important that is, right, to maintaining and sustaining a growth business.
Yeah. And if we talk specifically about growth and, getting the product out there and getting more eyeballs on it and making the right connections, how are you guys what are the channels that you guys are currently using to grow the business?
Yeah, I mean, we've certainly, all the, as we spoke before, marketing, internet, those sorts of campaigns, always trying to draw really inbound awareness, right, about your products. For those that don't know you exist, for existing customers, it's collaborative planning, it's innovation, it's really understanding, where their growth is coming from, or even collaborate on future products. We do customized stuff for a number of companies. But that all starts with strategic and collaborative planning.
Who are your main customers right now?
Gosh, we've got, in the traditional vending space, it's the large global automated retailers like Canteen, Sodexo, Aramark, as well as a lot of large independents. We sell to Coca-Cola bottlers all over the world. We sell to, non-traditional vending customers. Maybe, it's PPE or it's, into healthcare and other channels. And then we do large industrial clients that, maybe for inventory control, right? Think about, organizations like Fastenal or Cintas and building out those channels of business. And then there's technology and back end stuff and support that we do for a lot of vending operators. So it's quite diverse.
If you think about like the segmentations of your clients, is there a specific area where you guys are trying to grow more in right now?
Yeah, I mean, yes, in a broader perspective, we want to understand, the way I always said it, there's kind of three buckets, right? There's your existing clients, understanding if, are you collaborative planning, getting your fair share of the market there. There's understanding, kind of these maybe existing clients, but in other applications or channels, right? And then there's, always looking for new applications for our products. So, there's always opportunities for growth. Some channels are going to by nature be more, like traditional vending is probably going to be, pretty steady, right? You're not going to experience a ton of tremendous growth there. But there are new technologies within that space that we're working on to help, improve our share.
Yeah. Is there specific technologies that you guys are really interested in working with?
Yeah. I mean, we partner with organizations, and then we also do a lot. We have an engineering team. We do a lot of it in-house as well.
Okay, amazing. If you think about some of the growth channels that you guys have, projects that you guys put forward, which one, if you can think that, you tried, didn't go as planned, and then you had to pivot very quickly. Is there an example of something like that?
Yeah, admittedly, I've been with the organization 3 months, so there's probably a bit of history there, but there is there was a growth in what the channel calls micro markets that maybe we were a little late to the game on 10, 15 years ago, which is just unattended. Think of unattended retail with no controls or no machines, right? So that was a big growth element that we, if we had to do all over again, maybe we would have invested a little more into that. Having said that, based on some of that success and some of the market changes, we're working on some semi-controlled solutions that we're really bullish for the coming years.
That's amazing. So you're stepping into the role, you're new. What are your, let's say, plans for the next 12 months as far as growth opportunities?
Yeah. I mean, one, I firmly believe, based on the information I have at the moment, that there's a tremendous opportunity for just market share growth based on some of our innovations versus, say, what some of the competitors are doing. So I think in the short run, we can gain some growth just through the existing client base and gaining more than our fair share of their equipment purchases. So I think that's one. Another one is, I think healthcare is there's a ton going on in the healthcare space, even outside of just traditional vending. So I know there's some tremendous opportunity there. And then there's some new technologies that we have, which probably over the next 6 months, won't bear us any fruit. When I say fruit in terms of immediate sales, but I could see that 12 to 18 months, the way consumers are changing, the way the market's changing, that will, that I'm really bullish on where that is headed.
That's awesome. You did mention basically taking a bigger share of the current market and basically outbeating your competition. That's really interesting. Tell me a little bit more about that. How you guys, what are the plans there without giving up all the secret sauce?
Yeah, no, yeah. It's not a lot of rocket science, as we say. It's just, large national customers who in the past maybe didn't do as much business with us, we've done a really good job at getting in the door, demonstrating as we always like to say, we have the lowest cost of ownership. We may not have the least expensive piece of equipment. But when you amortize that over 5, 7, 10 years, we feel we provide the lowest cost of ownership. Plus, we also have some unique equipment that our competitor doesn't have. And that's typically around refrigerated and frozen equipment, which we've figured out to do really well. Some of our competitors have kind of exited that space. So we can lean in with that and, and obviously, use that to leverage and gain more of our traditional business as well.
I love that. With regards to, the fast changing world of marketing specifically, what would you say is your biggest challenge right now as far as marketing goes?
I think, that's probably, in all fairness, a question better suited for our chief marketing officer. I think probably the biggest challenge is there's so much information out there. A lot of inbound comes through Google searches and things. And we do a really good job at making sure that, we're relevant in that space when someone is looking for any of our equipment or services. But there's so much information in that space. You want to avoid situations where, in my opinion, you get commoditized, or these sort of RFQ bid processes can be a bit of a challenge. You just want to be selective at where you spend your time and your energy.
Yeah. Actually, with this is so interesting that you said that. With Google being so saturated, have you guys looked into how your consumers are finding you in the new generative search engines like ChatGPT and things like that? Have you guys started experimenting with that?
I'm sure, yeah, that would be a question for Ashley and her team. For me to answer, I'm sure playing around in all that space. Yeah, yeah. How deeply or the results so far, I fortunately not in position to get to probably comment much more than that.
No worries.
Day to day, right? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Are you guys in your end of things? What type of AI technologies are you guys using right now? Are you using any? Are you exploring some new ones? Where are you guys with
Yeah,
that?
I mean, I know personally, and my team, we use a lot of the Chat GPT. I think we're trying to utilize AI to make our service and support system more efficient, right? Right now it's as old school is, hey, I call in, I got a issue with my machine, right? Level one, level two, level three. So AI, I think, can play a huge role in improving that. And I know the team's working on that, as you try to, because your inbound calls can be something as simple as, I don't know how to open this machine up, to an experienced technician that needs real help, right? So I think AI not just can, it will play a pivotal role as we rebuild that function over the next 12 months.
Yeah, so just even on the customer service side of
Huge.
things, huge, right? So you're basically trying to free up some of your human power and get it into AI, just some automated messages and things like that.
Yeah, and just get folks, because we've got hundreds of, thousands and thousands of pieces of equipment out there, and the level of operational efficiency is going to vary from, could be someone operating something out of their garage to a very experienced technician who works on this stuff all the time. So yeah, I mean, if you can get people quicker answers, as opposed to, hey Rob, can you talk to XY? You get, and those things are going to happen, right? But we can definitely become more efficient using the AI technology, and the teams are working on that.
That's awesome. For you yourself, being again coming in new to the role, you're basically taking over for somebody who's about to retire, who's been doing this for a long time. What kind of trends have you noticed in the industry that you want to stay ahead of as you enter into this role?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of, you know, again, living in a world of unattended retail. It's a combination of where your customers are utilizing technology, what's important to them, but also understanding how consumers buy. Because I think there's still a ton of opportunity that's left on the table if we don't understand our consumers as well. As you know, society's going mostly cashless, right? It's all going cashless, right? So, and we play in that in a big way, right? But how do we take that to the next level? That's one big part of it. The younger generation, they shop, they buy differently. Now, I've worked on the brand side, but it's a whole nother aspect of having the right products in the right place. But on the equipment side, it's having the right engagement, right? It's having the right look, it's having the right technology, right? Whether it's cashless or, student cards on college campuses, right? So kind of leaning into all those, because cash is going away. In fact, most of our customers would tell you if they could get rid of cash tomorrow, they would. They don't need a money room and armored cars and all the other stuff, right, that go along with it. But yeah, it's going to take a while to phase that out. But yeah, I think that's a lot of it is just continue to understand what our consumers want and how they purchase.
If you look into your competitors, is there somebody out there who's doing something similar in these processes that you think they're doing it like really really well?
Yeah, I think I mean, I don't know if anyone is doing it so well. One of the advantages we have is being a family business. We can take a long-term focus. Our primary competitors tend to be divisions of larger companies, and they take a very short-term approach often. I mean, obviously I'm biased a little bit, but I think we have the right approach. When it comes to building for the future, we're more about, let's make sure not only are we growing and profitable today, a year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, right? So the flip side to that is some of our competitors, maybe they have private equity money and they may be able to go out there and buy some share. I mean, one of our primary competitors they led with their beverage machine for years and did a good job with it. But that runway is starting to end, right? So, and my opinion is they haven't really invested into the future in a way that we have as an organization on a total portfolio of products.
Yeah, but so adding more. Yeah, no, that's okay. So adding more products is one of the ways for you guys to also stay very competitive.
Yeah, and technology. Well, and they're hand in hand, right? Products, technology. Yeah. So, and again, that's understanding where the consumers are going, right? And how they shop, right? If people nowadays are shopping at, let's just say an unattended smart cooler, right? You scan your card, pick your products, close the cooler, and you complete the transaction, right? So how do we efficiently, engage with those consumers with the right technology? It's got to work. It's got to be, reliable. It's got to be, you can't afford to, have, you have to watch shrink and all the other things that come into that space. So, but yeah, I think that's where a lot of it's headed, and I think we're well positioned.
Do you see that there's a lot of people who are not watching for the consumer behavior and adapting new technology? Do you see people in the market like being very slow to adapt to that?
Well, yes, not as much as before. Most of those on the operator side who haven't invested or in the technology, some wound up just selling out or in the process of selling. There are organizations that just made a decision, I'm not going to reinvest, and maybe they were a family business and didn't have a successor or something, and they sold when they were ready to move on, and that's fine too. But they're going to be much fewer and further in between. They won't survive.
Yeah. What do you think is really like the number one threat for companies like yours and similar ones right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's you like to say that, our business has proven to be fairly recession proof over the years. Fairly, not 100%, right? But any large disruption, right, I think is, that just causes, prospective clients and customers say, whoa, I'm not spending on, any capital this year, right? I mean, that's kind of in the short run, I would say, if there was some major disruption, we've done well in up and down economies, right, for the most part. But market saturation, maybe companies hold on to a fleet a little longer. But over the years, we've learned those things, they do come back, right? We've had large customers who used to buy hundreds of pieces of equipment every year. I'll say, hey, don't need anything this year. And that's going to happen, right? There's probably not a whole lot you can do to prevent that, right? But other than getting in, strategically planning and understanding that, where they're headed and understand where our solutions are and how we can help them in the future.
Yeah. And again, going back to the fact that you're so new to the role, what are you like mostly looking forward to in this new role and new chapter in your career?
Yeah, I mean, I've worked in this industry over the years. It's reconnecting with some folks and all was great. I'm just super excited to work for. It really is an amazing organization. We're family owned. We grow the right way, right? We're not trying to buy market share or do anything crazy or appease any, private equity investors. There's nothing wrong with that at all, right? I've been on all sides of that. Yeah. Some work, some haven't, right? Yeah, it's for me, it's more about just, the culture and just seeing the industry transform over the next 3 to 5 years, because it's coming. It's already starting, right? But I think it's going to be amazingly exciting, and where we can take our equipment and our solutions and our technology.
Yeah. Actually, you did mention, I did ask you about, some industry trends that are coming. We talked about how people are buying. What else do you think is coming down the line, building off on what you just said?
Yeah, I mean, it's, we talked a little bit about AI, right? But yeah, AI on the equipment side, I think is also going to be, like anything, right? It'll start out slow and, some of the basics, but, as you can make your equipment and your retail a heck of a lot smarter, right? As maybe on a college campus, right? How do you implement AI to engage more of your customers? Just, thinking out loud right there. So I think that's going to be amazingly exciting. I mean, AI is the big buzzword right now, right? Not just in our business, right? So everyone is, super excited about it, or maybe not. I don't know, but I think that's going to be that's going to come more into play on the front line, right, as opposed to just like on the reactive side.
Yeah. What about product demonstration? If you have thought about using AI tools for any of that?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I haven't personally given it much thought. Our one of our lead engineers is a he's working on his PhD. So John is actually doing starting to really touch on that, on just how AI in general is going to impact our business in the short and long run. So he's kind of he's our AI geek, but yeah, it's super cool. I mean, we do, demos today, right? But I could see where that would just be, just take it to the next level. And again, it's coming, it's going to happen.
Yeah, it's coming so fast because now the machines are fixing the machines, right? So it's no
Yeah.
longer, yeah, it's speeding
Yeah.
everything up.
Yeah. No, exactly right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So no, it's pretty cool. Yeah. I mean, we're already building in things into our equipment, with future expansion in mind that, okay, we can use voice activation or we can, so yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. And let's be honest, right? The younger consumers, right, are more engaged into that. And that's our future business.
Yeah, no, 100%. I would, and the younger consumer also how they find business is changing, right? That's what we were talking about earlier, that Google is great. Of course, it's going to adapt, but how people are even finding things now, right? The search engine themselves are so different now. So
Yeah.
how people are even finding products that they want to consume, and the challenge for businesses to appear in those new
Yeah.
basically generative search engines is going to be quite interesting to see how people are going to be adapting to that.
Yeah, it's wild. Yeah, like I said, there's a lot. For some of my age, I try to stay on top of that, but it's sure there's a ton I don't know, right? It's super exciting, just how it impacts our business life, of course, but even just our personal lives too.
Yeah, I actually had a podcast with somebody that was they do lights and different type of lasers, so they're actually working to demonstrate their product through a hologram. Have you seen some of product demos done through holograms yet?
If I have, I don't think I have. Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah. I'll have to take a look at that.
But yeah, and it's becoming such a small and portable thing. It's no longer those big decks anymore. It's just this tiny little machine, kind of like how they used to have it in the movies.
Wow. Yeah, that's wild. That's wild. Yeah. Yeah. Go figure, right? I mean, I haven't, yeah, it's just, yeah. Yeah. I think we're in the midst of taking, every so many years, technology just seems to take some major steps forward, right? Make some big step change. And I think we're probably in the middle of one of those right now with AI. Where just everyone is scrambling on how that scrambles out everyone's looking at how they can help enhance their business, right? Whether it be through services. I mean, services are probably the lower hanging fruit, right? A little easier to, but then how do we use it to engage consumers more on a retail side or, whatever your business is, right? I mean, every retailer, every company's investing in it.
I know that you have a lot of experience in the industry. How has technology changed your career trajectory over time in aspects to growth opportunities with technology?
Yeah, I mean, I think, it's for me personally, it's, and my advice then is just always try to, never think you've learned everything, right? So always try to learn more and stay on top of it. Selfishly, I love engaging with people younger and my daughter's age or whatever, right? So I always find that very interesting. Put it this way, if you don't stay on top of it or at least keep yourself relevant through it, you're not going to grow, right? So, and that's fine. Some people may be comfortable with that. But as long as the energy's there and I like to read a lot anyway, so it's good to stay up with it. So try to stay relevant, right, with your skill sets. Whatever role or function that you're in. In my case, it's sales leadership, but it could be whatever. It could be accounting, could be right, but just always try to stay relevant as to what's new and the trends and how it's going to help you be more effective and hopefully a more valued associate.
How big is your guys' sales team? Do you have many roles like SDRs, business development? How does it go for you guys?
Yeah, so it varies by our channel of business. The particular channel that I own, I have several direct sales folks. um, and then several independent distributors who are third parties. So we use a hybrid. There were a couple of unique opportunities um, within the channel where some folks became available, but they wanted to, it works for both of us. So some independent distributors, and then we've also got network of larger distributors which buy our equipment and resell it, so they don't work for you, but it's still a big part of your job to support them properly, make sure they understand everything, and cascading the right messaging, and focus on the right opportunities, right? So it's really leveraging all those relationships, pull from whatever levers you can, right, to try to grow your share.
What do you think would make your sales team the most successful? Just with respects to, let's say, future opportunities, growth, what do you think your sales team would need?
Yeah, it's in fairness, it's probably a little soon, but one of the things I've used in prior roles and we're working on now is there are some AI tools like Zoom Info. So we haven't quite implemented that stuff. I think some of those will help us, even if it's not for new customers, but it could, is staying on trends so that you can support your existing customers, right? And get ahead of some of the opportunities. You always want to be, there's folks that make equipment like us, right? And they're all good, and they're all certified and whatnot. But you always want to be, that preferred partner, right? And here's why. So there's probably some tools there, that some AI tools that we can get implemented that'll help the team.
Yeah. Absolutely. Are you looking to also grow your team, or are you just thinking about just maintaining for now and then going from there? What's your vision for the role?
Yeah, yeah. I have a role to fill right now for retirement. So that's priority number one, to get that done the next, whatever, 60 days before the end of the year. So we got a couple folks there. At some point, I'd like to get someone who's maybe, younger than me to eventually backfill my role when I'm no longer in role. I don't see it happening anytime soon, but
Yeah, I think you have lots of time still.
yeah, well, yeah. 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 So there are some markets where maybe just rethinking, strategy opportunity. Is there opportunity for another independent rep? So yeah, again, I won't do anything haste until, get a better
You're
understanding of
settled
where we're
into the
headed.
new position.
Yeah, it wouldn't be, yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
great.
The organization's done a great job prior to me, so I don't want to come
Yeah,
in here and screw anything up.
for sure. No, I don't think you could. So, what is one piece of advice that you would give to our listeners about tackling growth challenges?
Yeah, I would, if I could I would just say, hey, embrace the change. And, and whatever it is that you do, whatever your line of business is, whether it's, always think forward, look for the next trend, look for, you don't want to miss the opportunity, right? So doesn't mean you need to lean in and be an expert on it, right? Or I'm not an expert on a lot of things, right? But just embrace change. The other thing is, maybe this comes with age, is the older I get, the more I realize there's a lot I don't know. So I don't need to be the smartest person in the room. I don't care to be anymore. So it's not above me to just randomly reach out to people through LinkedIn or through other tools they might be experts in some areas. I did this when I worked in, we were, for a compostable, straw manufacturer, right? It was trying to charter new waters to grow that business. It was like, hey, you know, here's how I can help you, right? There's a lot of things I don't know, right? So to help build that business from scratch, which was very rewarding. But it really was just a lot of that was just about, hey, talk to experts. Don't, it's okay you don't have all the answers, right? So, I would say just embrace it, lean into it. It's an exciting world out there. That's my approach, and leverage your network as much as you can in a positive way, because it comes around the other way. I have a lot of folks that reach out to me because, maybe some channels where I've had expertise, and I like to pay that forward as well, right? Because it's always, the end of the day, right, we're all trying to advance the ball and, improve our prospective organizations and our careers. But, at the end of the day, it's the people that you work with, I think, that make a lot of it.
That's great. Actually, speaking of networking, for our listeners, if they wanted to get in touch with you, what kind of connections are you currently looking to grow in the industry? Is there somebody specific that you're looking to connect with?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't, that's a great question. I haven't given that a lot of thought at the moment because I have a pretty broad network, in the industry and out of the industry, right? So, I mean, if anyone is in, even has questions about automated retail, please connect. Or if you have an idea, goofy one, or maybe you're in healthcare and maybe there's a way that automation and controlled dispensing can help you, right? So I think I've worked when I was in the beverage business a lot in the healthcare segment. So I tend to think there's a lot of opportunity above and beyond there. But yeah, I mean, crazy ideas or not, or if you're working on some food service opportunities and you need to talk to someone or, I'll help anyone out, provided it's not my competitor, but
those can stay away. You guys stay away.
Yeah. Actually, we all know, even our competitors, we're all pretty friendly. We don't, we respect each other. I should just say, put it like that. Yeah. So
I love that. You're open for new opportunities.
Yeah, always. Yeah. Any, there's no opportunity goofy.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, Rob. This was fantastic. I wish you all the best in the new role. You're going to do great. I love the energy. You have the right.
Yeah, we'll keep it going and have some fun in the meantime.
Yeah, I love it. All right. Thank you so much.
Be well.
Okay.